the entire weekend. He beat Showtime in the final, and I was honestly like, damn, Snoot, you've taken your game to a whole nother level.
I think mine is not a single game, but that he played a best of 69 and he macroed every single game versus Bunny.
Best of 69?
Best of 69, that's correct. It took 13 hours.
He did it against Baby Knight as well, didn't he?
Was that him versus Baby Knight as well? Did he do both best of 69s?
I'm pretty sure that was him.
Actually, that might be just the case. We're surprised when they do it again.
Okay, so now the game is ready. First game between Netherlands and Norway, and it's Utermer against Snoot.
Exactly. Surprised to see this guy come out on this very small map in the bottom right. As the red Zerg for Norway, he is Snoot.
And over here, in the left top side of ABIOGENESIS, representing the Netherlands, it's the one and only Utermer.
Still really can't get over the fact that Snoot sent himself out here. I thought for sure he was going to send a scout just to see who came out first for the Netherlands, because it could have been anyone. Well, I guess not Harsum. Harsum just would not come out on ABIOGENESIS with the high, I guess, likeliness they would face a Zerg player. And, well, now we had to see what Snoot has in store for Terran on this map.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Utermer is starting off normal. Snoot did open up a little safer than you would perhaps see on some of the other maps, as it was spawning pool, then hatchery, and then he follows it up with the gas. I absolutely love the game that Utermer played on this map against Neep. I truly felt that was a build that made perfect sense for the actual map that they're playing on. Because every now and then you watch some of the pro games and they do builds, it's like, yeah, that's a good build. But I really don't like it on this map. You know, it takes either way too long or it's just too short for it. But the way that Utermer played against Neep, when the Netherlands was able to take out USA 4-3 in that opening match of the round of 16, I honestly thought it was perfect. I think that's the kind of stuff that you want to bring out as a Terran player against the Protoss that played the way that Neep did. Now this is a completely different matchup, but I'm pretty sure that Utermer once again will cater his build towards dealing with Zerg, specifically on this map.
Yeah, the nice news is that you don't really have to, I feel, go for something super different as a Terran player here. Like, you do want to be more wary of certain things, like an early rush in the Zerg, so he puts his command center on the high ground, you know, checklist that. You could also have SCV scouted, I suppose, but he's been doing this in most matchups, so I guess that's what he prefers on this map. You don't really have the two base all in, because honestly getting a third base and still doing a tank push down the middle of the map is still very dangerous for the Zerg to hold. And I think you can go either a mech or bio, so these are all his options.
If I would have to make a prediction, I say that Snoot makes a bunch of queens, starts spreading creep towards the other side of the map, and probably goes for a massive Ling Roach Ravager attack. This is something that he likes to do on Catalyst, where he's often pretty successful with it. And obviously, if you like to do it on Catalyst, then you will really love doing it on ABIOGENESIS, because it's just that much shorter than Catalyst is. Now, I'm sure that Utermer's not crazy, and he's not expecting Snoot to sit back here until he has 74 drones. So hopefully he keeps a close eye on what Snoot decides to do. And takes the game from there.
You know, immediately, as soon as Utermers are making Cyclones, we're reminded of Hero Marine's game on this map against Sort of, where he did open up like little unorthodox with a very, very fast armory. In fact, this is looking almost exactly like that build. And then he did a little bit of pressure, decided to back off, but then perfectly countered what he figured Sort of would do, what a Zerg would do on this map, and that is go for some type of Roach Rush. And I'm worried that Snoot, if he does have that plan, would fall into the trap.
The Carapace upgrade is the first upgrade that Snoot goes for, which I actually think is a very interesting choice. 12 links will be fired up as well, and of course that Roach one goes down in the back of his natural line. Now the Roach is not going to be in time to deal with these first Hellions that could potentially morph into Hellbats and the Cyclones. The game that you mentioned, Hero Marine kind of poked. He saw 3 queens and he's like, yeah, never mind, you know, I'm not going to do anything here. Utermer in general is a little more aggressive than Hero Marine. Let's see if Utermer decides to back off as well, or if he waits for the extra 2 Hellions and actually takes the fight.
Okay, this is actually happening. The surround goes down. There's a lot of Lings. The Queens were not torn down either.
Damn.
A couple Lings do a counter and they get 3 SCVs, so cleaning up the attack and getting a couple SCVs, and just 30 seconds there, Snoot's going to get the benefit on every front, and now even has Lings coming forward here, but there are Hellbats as Utermer is going into mech. Very similar to the Hero Marine game, but you know, I was about to say before that engagement happened that Hero Marine did say that the reason he backed off in his game was that the third base was taken. He didn't think that Sort of was going to play that greedy, which I thought was like really weird. So in this case, it seemed like Utermer did have an option, but didn't expect so many Lings to get this around, perhaps. And now Snoot might have had to delay his third base, but he just cleaned up a very early attack from the Terran.
Yep, and Snoot takes a pretty sweet worker lead so far in this game. He's up by 12 drones at this point. The Reaper is going to hop into the main base. Now, of course, Banshees will help out against Roaches and Ravages if Snoot decides to be aggressive, which I still kind of think he will do. And then, of course, I think the Lair is there to potentially bring an Overseer with the push. That if Snoot wants to get aggressive, a couple extra Overlords are on the way, Roach Speed is on the way. I mean, if he makes a push, okay, second Evo goes down, so maybe Snoot is actually just okay with playing this one out here on the Biogenesis. Maybe he feels, especially after that start, like, all right, you know, I actually survived the first bit. I picked off a couple of your Cyclones. Let's play a normal game.
I really am wondering how much he's aware of the potential to fall into the trap that sort of did when he just committed too hard to the Roach push. Now, he's sending Roaches across the map, but it doesn't seem like... well, actually, you know what? If the Banshee's not at home, then this might be where it does a lot of damage. 2 Cyclones isn't quite enough, depending on how many Roaches there are, but the Banshee, second Banshee's at home, supply depots are raised too, so this was just not something he could really commit to, but he has the option to now run away.
Did he kill that Banshee on the other side of the map? Because I think, no, Uthermals brought it back. Only got a couple of kills. Will be able to get a few shots off on these Roaches. So good news here for the Dutch Terran is that he didn't really take any economic damage at home. But Snoot still, in my opinion, sitting pretty sweet in this game. He's still ahead in workers. He shouldn't lose too much against these Banshees. Only lost 2 drones so far. Now, I do think Abiogenesis, if that mech army grows, this becomes a map where it's very hard, I think, as a Zerg, to get great engagements, right? Like, what can you really do to outmaneuver a meching Terran on this map?
No, that's absolutely true. There's a couple of small choke points just right up against Snoot's front line, basically. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you, Mapu. And then even if they're going towards your fourth, like more on the high ground that still isn't that wide of a concave, it is very difficult when you're going up against really specifically tanks, and that is all about what mech is about. So this is going to be tough, but Snoot already on his way to Hive. Of course, chokes work against the mech player if it means all of their tanks are in a big ball and then the blinding cloud comes down.
So many factories were thrown up by Uthermal. He had 4 factories on the production tab for a split second there. As 2 are gonna land next to these tech labs, and the other 2 are on their way. Scan goes down. I don't think he spotted the infestation bit. No, he did. It's right next to the extractor. So obviously that's a good scan. Uthermal kind of knows of where he is in this game, kind of knows about the potential Viper timings that Snoot could hit. Obviously these guys are all really good. They know exactly how long it takes to get a Hive, and kind of knows where, if he wants to hit a pre-Viper timing, when he has to move out.
Yeah, it can be difficult to do, but on such a short map, I mean, once you start, you can actually rally in with mech, where sometimes it's more of a bio idea to start rallying as the map's too long and mech's too slow, but here it could actually work. So we'll see what he decides to do. I think it's expected that the Zerg player would skyrocket up to Vipers to protect themselves on a map like this, but that doesn't guarantee success. That still is an area where Uthermal can really spread out when he does attack the fourth, which is usually the target. I guess we didn't really talk about creep spread, but it's pretty easy to get your creep spread all the way up to your opponent's base, so Uthermal has to take care of this.
Yeah, and the Banshees are out of position, so Snoot is going to try his luck here, but the tank positioning is pretty good. The Hellbats would make it very complicated for these Roaches and Hydras to get close enough. There is an Overseer with this push, so be careful with your Banshees. Somehow lives with 1 HP.
Yeah, got a couple of Hellbat drops. Potentially going for that style we did see from Kelazur, which, you know, Kelazur mentioned that Uthermal has been doing it, so I guess this makes sense. We finally get to see it from the man himself. More medevacs are on the way, and that does seem to be his intention, is just to drag and drop on top of the army, which really, I mean, when you play mech like that, it's less about tanks being blinding clouded as much as it is about the splits and the appropriate counter for the Zerg player. So by changing the style up, Snoot with his fast Vipers, I feel, is no longer, like, you're never very safe in the first place, but now even less safe. It's all about these Hellbats.
Snoot doing a really good job in renewing the tumors that he lost in the middle of the map, and this makes it very hard for Uthermal not to always be revealed here. These Hellions are gonna get spotted, obviously, right from the get-go. Snoot has a couple of units in the right place. Scan goes down. Snoot knows that the Hive is done. Excuse me, Uthermal that is, but he also knows that nothing else is up yet, at least not in that scan radius. He didn't see Ultralisk Cavern. He didn't see a Great Spire.
Yeah, it's always a little worrying that maybe you missed the Spire being completed, but it's usually still around a good time to push, because even if the Great Spire was like finishing now, you know, they have to get Corruptors, they have to get the Broodlord, so it's still a good opportunity, and a couple of scans ahead of the army would tell him the composition anyways. He's moving forward with not as many Hellbat drops, I believe, as we saw Kelazur do. I think he was doing up to 6 or even 8. This is just 4. more, but Snoot's looking to buy some more time. He's got a lot of control over the map with that creep spread. He knows exactly where and when Uthermal is moving out.
Snoot's coming in from the left side as well. That's a lot of roaches. Obviously, Uthermal's winning this fight against the Hydras, but those roaches, I think they're getting a pretty phenomenal trade, as a couple of tanks have already been picked off. The other tanks are just kind of derping around in the middle of the map, and Snoot is obviously buying a lot of time. He was maxed out, so this is kind of what you want as Snoot. He's going to get quite a bit of damage done here.
This is really, really nice. You would think on such a small map that Uthermal could have seen the other army going, but no, it was really all in control of Snoot with his knowledge, with his creep spread. Finally, some economy is also being targeted now as we have the SEV kill count really growing. Third base is under attack, fourth base is currently under attack. That could die. There's enough Hydras here that this could go down, and Uthermal, in just one brief run by, well, counter, whatever you want to call it, is just suddenly in a bad position.
Yeah, great moves by Snoot. Really good job. And somehow finding openings against the Macking player on the ABIOGENESIS. Now doing a lot of economic damage, sniping that 4th CC, still having absolute control of the entire map in the middle with all those cryptomas, those queens that are so active. The Vipers are out, and now there is a great Aspire on the way as well. And what is there truly for anti-air on the side of Uthermal? Really not much.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to Hellbat drop, so you don't really, it's not you don't concern about the Vipers, but they're at least less concerning, and instead he has no Hellbats to drop. The Vipers do set down their Blinding Clouds, although they are, well, actually it's going to be enough anyways. GG, Uthermal doesn't actually look that great there, you know? I mean, Snoot had the perfect timing to do what he did, making Uthermal look like he didn't have a chance.
And of course, our entire team, I think, is very good. Harstem is excellent. Optimus is excellent as well. But Snoot is scary, and it would have been obviously almost smooth sailing if you're able to take out Snoot in that first game of this Nation War. Then you're feeling really good.
Yeah.
Right now, you start getting a little anxious if you have a Dutch heart, and you're like, oh, maybe it's not going to be as easy as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you lost your star player in the first map, on a map that you thought maybe it was going to be great for the Terran. Instead, Snoot shows how powerful he can be when you don't expect him. Now we're into game number 2, and in the bottom left, now up against a Protoss, it is the red Zerg Snoot for Norway.
Of course, still the most successful foreigner of all time. You gotta respect and love the career that Snoot has had up to this point. But this man, he said it was his year. It turned into the decade, and he looked excellent so far in Nation War Season 5. Representing the Netherlands, it's Harstem.
Snoot has to change gears here, but he played ABIOGENESIS quite well, really responded to a lot of things that could have gone wrong, and then responded in a very, very good way to the change-up of mech styles on such a short map. Now versus a Protoss who should be feeling very good about his chances. 4-0 against the Swedish all-Zerg team just a couple of days ago, showing his dominance in the matchup, also showing some weirdness to it as well, maybe giving Snoot a little bit more to have to study and think about. But Snoot, how is he in the matchup lately?
I mean, obviously he had a lot of study material. He's able to watch all those games that Harstem played, but if I was looking at those games as a Zerg, I wouldn't even feel too good. It's like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of information, but I don't like any of this information because he looks really good in the matchup. Now, of course, there is another man to look at, and that is that other Scandinavian Zerg. It's kind of funny because I'm sure that Snoot loves Serral for the player that he is and the things that he's able to do with Zerg, but he's also a little frustrated with Serral because there are some tournaments, Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang, WESG, that are like, yeah, we could have a Norwegian and a Finnish qualifier, or we can just combine those two countries. Good luck, have fun, guys. The Snoot is like, oh, come on. And a single spot, this is really messed up. So Serral is actually the reason why Snoot wasn't able to even make it to the European qualifier of WESG, or wasn't able to make it at the Intel Extreme Masters qualifier as well, because, yeah, Serral just stopped him in both those tournaments.
Yeah, that was always quite upsetting to see if you're a Snoot fan. Snoot has been just a long line, I feel, of the last 6 months to a year of being beat by the guy who ended up just being amazing anyways. You know, he got to the finals of Montreal, but it's almost hard to remember that because Neeb was so on fire. He just 4-0'd him and made him look a little bit silly despite advancing through so many other fantastic players. So you can never really just forget that Snoot always gets pretty far, always has amazing games, and always can be very clutch in these scenarios.
Yeah, it's almost sad for Snoot in a way that he had such a successful career that the fact that he made back-to-back finals in WCS 2017 is not something that a lot of people are even aware of or even even talk about. It's like, yeah, that's Snoot and he's capable of doing that. But like, Elaser won his first tournament, Neep crushed 2017. It's like, well, actually Snoot, you know, back-to-back finals is really impressive, especially if you consider how long Snoot has been on point in this game when it comes to especially participating in the European region. And in the past, often against some of the Koreans as well. We'll see how Snoot does so far. The defense is excellent, but Harstem also on point with his adepts. He has the Phoenix. Is there an Oracle out? No, right?
No.
Oh, so it's Phoenix first. Oh, a Zergling just ran into the main base. That's a little bit sloppy, that Ling. Oh! The adepts will be on time though.
That's a little late, but the Ling was not paying attention.
Teamwork.
Snoot wasn't paying attention. That ended up going really, really well. That would have seen the exact timing of the Twilight Council, would have seen that there was no follow-up Oracle or follow-up Phoenix. That would have been such a fantastic scout.
Yep. I mean, Snoot is going to try his luck one more time there, as one adept was shading forward, but he's going to cancel that shade. Is it going to be a resonating glaives here? That would make sense if you open up with 3 adepts, and that is exactly the case. Do we have a propad on the map? We don't, right? Because I immediately think back of something that I saw, I think it was yesterday, where it's like, that good old resonating glaives after a Stargate into a cheeky proxy gate, where the Zerg often anticipates 7, 8 adepts. If it's only 18 adepts, I mean, that changes things quite a bit. And a few roaches is not going to be the case. I do think in general, Snoot is very good against builds like this though. I think Snoot always likes it more when it's the Protoss pressuring him, rather than the Protoss sitting back, building up that really scary army, and it's up to Snoot to do something about it. I actually think Harstem is kind of playing into the strength of Snoot right now, and there's a good chance that Snoot is not stopping with just these roaches and Lings, by the way.
I was going to say, it already seems like he has this on lockdown. There's always a question of, do they catch the adepts in the right place? Sometimes 10 drones still go down
but he
anyways.
Wants to counter. He wants to counter
but exactly,
after this.
like once he deals with this, he will be countering. And like Harstem, yeah, I think the wise choice is to run back and try and hold on to your third.
I think you really don't want to let this shade finish up ever, and that's exactly what Harstem does. He needs to start chrono boosting out Immortals, and he needs shield batteries, because the army of Snoot is actually kind of terrifying. Now he throws up a backup island, and we do have our first shield battery here, but I mean, once the Immortal's out, your life becomes a little easier, because the Immortal takes care of the roaches, the Adepts will take care of the Zerglings. There are force fields available, so Harstem is making the correct calls, but it still comes down to execution.
It's very scary, but Snoot's, I mean, maybe he wanted to not show that there are roaches and then pounce the Adepts and then counter. That might have been the absolutely perfect plan. Now he is up against a decently sized army with a lot of, let's say, fodder of the Adepts to protect a would-be Immortal. There we go. Yeah. So he respects Harstem's wise decisions. I mean, they're both playing very smart here, and he goes for a 4th base. His lair just is about to finish, I should say, and he is trying to drone up, but that was a large amount of units not to get the counter in. Getting some
dark flashbacks over here, as we have, obviously these roaches are out already. Snoot does love his Ravages. I mean, Snoot in the past, what was it, WCS 2016, right, where he had that insane game. Was it against Drogo, actually, where he made 1 million Banelings against the 1 million Archons of Drogo on Frost? That was like, that was, back then, that was just the flavor of the month. Everyone made Banelings and Ravages, and eventually they tried something else, but not Snoot. Snoot just made sometimes 70, 80 Banelings, which is what he had a lot of success with a few months before that, when he won that tournament in Mexico that I referred to before. But obviously, if you play against a Zerg that makes not just a few Banelings, but an insane amount of Banelings, then the Archon count is truly what you want to go a little ham on as Protoss.
Snoot's going up to 75 drones on 4 bases, but Harstem has an attack in mind, which I don't believe Snoot's seen. There's been no Ling presence out on the map. He didn't have anything around the 3rd to see it moving. This is a little scary as Snoot droned quite hard, only just now adding in some Hydras, still waiting on a lot of upgrades he's invested into.
Yeah, Baneling speed is not done. I don't even think he has any Banelings. He does have 2 Ravages, but 2 Ravages could get picked up very quickly. Harstem was able to sneak this army to the other side of the map, completely undetected. He's going to find a couple of roaches here. Prism is going to warp in a couple of additional units in the back, and this starts off very promising. This is not the right engagement for the Lings, though, because all the Adepts are here, and the Adepts obviously going to have a really good time against the Lings.
The force fields are just keeping that army from being touched. This is looking very, very bad for Snoot. He's starting to lose drones as well. The Warp Prism's not being touched either, as most of these Hydras are coming forward and just dying one by one, and this could be it for Snoot.
Harstem has such a good read on this matchup at this point, showing us a different style here, but making all the right calls once again. Of course, a little sloppy by Snoot that he didn't see this army moving out, but Harstem with perfect execution, perfect commitment early on, gets the equalizer here for the Netherlands, and it's safe to say that is a pretty big victory.
very nicely done by Harsum. That was such a cool game because there was a lot of deflections for both players.
Yeah.
They both did try and
I don't know.
play
He's been pretty vocal about the fact that you know, he doesn't fear anyone and he has the tricks and he did his homework. So I think there's still a possibility for Poseidon to maybe upset here. But Arstem is showing better and better games, like ever since that round of 16 group stage. This guy is on form.
Yes, indeed. Harstem all killed in the series before, but Poseidon looked really confident. So let's find out what's going to happen here on Catalyst.
All right. You want to start things off?
Sure do. In the bottom right,
Sure do.
as the red Protoss for Norway, he is Poseidon.
And in the top left, just beating Snoots in the game before, representing the Netherlands, he is Harstem. Apparently the decade is his. Let's see if he can qualify his team to the round of 4. I mean, shutting down Snoots, game 2 was super important. You mentioned how it, you know, swept, you know, the momentum away right after this first win on the side of Snoots. So obviously really important for Netherlands to not give that much confidence to Snoot. Obviously should be the one revived if the Netherlands are able to get the 2 wins,
Yep.
which is what you expect, as you said.
Yes.
You see Harstem as a guy that will take 3 wins right away.
Yeah, I mean, Harsum is just looking, you know, actually very good right now. He's always been good. He's always been solid. But then you see him in a couple of weekend tournaments. He's like better than ever. And then in Nation Wars, he seems to be better than ever as well. So I do expect him to take this map, the next one, and then the revive map, I believe, was checking was Acid Plant. So we already saw an epic PVZ yesterday on Acid Plant. I would hope to see another one here today. But we are getting a little far ahead as we have a PvP just starting. Nothing too weird yet. It's not Poseidon doing like a proxy gateway. So
No.
we'll see what he has in store for the next couple minutes, because I feel like PvP is a matchup that at any point things could get weird. Like you could put down your 3rd pylon as your proxy, your 4th, your 5th. You know, like Stargates can get a little weird as well. And they just take a moment as we freak out. Whoa there, come on.
I had that before, Mapu. I know. Sometime the computer just alt-tabs itself. And then people can see your Twitter and they get mad about it. Happened in DreamHack Bucharest 3 years ago. Smix had to do a tweet to say that she was standing next to me and that I didn't do anything. Ooh, canceling a Twilight? It's been scouted right away.
That probe scout was so perfectly timed that absolutely was not supposed to happen.
Like, yeah, I'm going for Twilight Tech. Don't worry, now he blocks the adepts. It's outside of the base.
Good.
And now Poseidon just really can't throw any tech right now, because if he does, he'll get scouted right away. So maybe we'll transition into a second Nexus. Might be the smartest plan here. But what a start from Harstem. Like, just with a tiny probe, making a whole lot of difference.
This is so fantastic. I haven't seen this particular way of getting the scout, but that is so amazing. He even let the pylon finish. He was like, you're not going to build anything except the Nexus without me knowing. So at this point in time, there's been no tech pressure thrown down. Harsum has probably been counting the pylons as well, and I think he just straight up knows like there should be a Nexus. This has taken too long, but there is a proxy pylon out. It was just one of the later ones.
Yep, and we'll see if he decides to throw a technology down there, a Robo, a Stargate, something, but it's going to be a Twilight nonetheless. After canceling the first one, he goes for another one that probably will finish this time. I'd be super surprised if he were to cancel, because it's not like Harstem is going to get a secondary scout now. What units does Harstem have? Like a couple of Stalkers, a Sentry? Okay, he does have a Sentry, so it could get scouted with an Hallucinated Phoenix.
This is nice. I mean, because I feel like with how long it took and how many pylons there were, he was like, you know, there probably was an Nexus, but he does scout and confirm that. This is a Hallucinated Phoenix from one of the 2 Sentries, is also quite perfect. It is just a Twilight Council, only just now finishing as well, so like no Proxy Dark Shrine. And Harsum is going for a very safe opener anyways with this Robo. That's going to be a lot of power. And this pylon that we just saw that Harsum did not see, I feel, is still not going to play that big of a part. Like, obviously, it is going to be for a Dark Shrine. It is going to be a Dark Templar build, but it is later, and it's up against something that should just automatically deflect it.
That's the thing, right? Like, it's a late Dark Shrine, as you mentioned, because the Twilight was cancelled originally. So I'm just guessing, like, I'm just wondering what happened in Poseidon's heads, you know? It's like, do I switch strategies? Do I really want it to fake a Twilight, not going for a Nexus, and maybe go for something more aggressive? But for now, Poseidon has a riddle to solve. which is I've got 2 Stalkers and 2 Sentries against 6 Stalkers and 2 Sentries,
so perfect.
losing the shield battery right away, losing the pylon right after that. And yes, Poseidon will have some additional tech at some point, but for now, he's just bleeding out units, bleeding out buildings.
He's going to give up. But the chance of Harsum not having detection at this point is really quite low. I mean, even before Twilight Council, I feel like the Robo still put down in a decent time for a Dark Shrine build. He scouts it anyways, so now he really knows what's up, and Poseidon is just not getting any breaks here. He's going to be just dominate this PvP. He's going to have one DT try and do something, and it's just not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't see any way for Poseidon to maybe... I think that's actually cute because he would have been force-shielded out of that second base. So getting the recall here actually saves him the Nexus, which is kind of smart, kind of cute. I loved it. Arstem realizes that the DTs might be about to enter his natural, so will recall as well, gets an observer there. And, well, Poseidon will go for 1 DT, but the likeliness of this DT to do any damage is so freaking low.
It's not going to do anything. Harsum's not going to move out. He's even a little scared that Poseidon's not just going to go for the DT, but maybe even like move the army out and make it an Archon, I suppose. But this Hallucinated Phoenix scouts once again in perfect way, sees the army still at home, and the single DT is even going to be pounced upon. Like, I don't think he can actually leave. Harsum should probably chase it. Well, I think he wants to chase it and find the pylon at the very least.
Right, now he gets it.
There it is.
That Hallucinated Phoenix, and those 2 Hallucinated Phoenixes just did so much work for Harstem, confirming the technology that was chosen by Poseidon, and even getting a follow-up scout. The army wasn't moving, not a single other technology building, and now gets the pylon. So now, there is Blink on the side of Poseidon. This fight might be cool. It starts off with a Sentry being picked off. We have a Guardian Shield for now. It will actually Blink super aggressively here. Targets down the Sentry, but some more Stalkers come from the side of Harstem. It still should be a decent fight for Poseidon, but now he has to go away as there is an Immortal here to help out.
Yeah. I mean, that was an okay opportunity, right? Like the Sentry, or Harstem didn't expect the army to be there, and there's Blink to no Blink, but Harstem still has such a dominant lead. He was up so many workers. He still is up 7 workers and up an upgrade, up in Immortals, that it would have taken quite a huge army throw, like all of his Stalkers dying, to really put Poseidon in a good position.
Okay, Drunken DT here, not realizing that he was just walking to his death. So this DT is not a problem, not a factor in this game anymore. And we see the transition that we've seen from Harstem earlier in the tournament while he was all killing. It's a Disruptor as a follow-up move in a PvP. Well, I said when he was whole killing, but he did play it against the United States of America, which he didn't whole kill, so sorry about that.
Yeah, that was the wrong matchup there, but we knew what you were talking about. He did do Disruptors against M. Canning. That was a little bit later into the game, I believe, so this is a little bit earlier, but I mean, not too big of a worry either way, as Harstem could really do a lot of things and still have such a good position in a... I think a Disruptor is actually something I would expect from Poseidon, the guy that's behind. He is going to go for Robotics.
Yeah, he does follow your lead here. Gets a second Robo, gets a... Well, is this the second Robo? Yeah, of course, because he was able to produce a Robo Bay. I'm wondering about questions that I should not wonder about, but it's okay. Disruptor already crossing the map with the rest of the army, lots of Stalkers, lots of Immortals, and that's a massive advantage that Harstem has. When there is still a couple of Stalkers in the army of Poseidon, those Immortals, they will rain them, bring them to nothing and will destroy them instantly. Actually getting a couple of good shots, good trades to start things off. Blinks in 3 Stalkers ahead, gets another Stalker before the fight even starts.
Oh, that's a little too far forward. Or back, rather, for Harstem. He wanted to get the surprise, and he almost did, but Poseidon a little too far back. Now he has double Disruptor production, but is it going to be close enough? They still have to travel over to the 3rd base, and Harstem clearly wants to make something happen here. He has the upgrade lead. He has the Disruptors. It finally grabs at least a Sentry. He's looking
which
for
is
the
a
kill.
good start, and he's got a second one now that will try to shoot his Nova. Will connect with an Immortal, trigger the shield, and get three-quarters of his life here. So an Immortal that's about to die already. And now has to blink back. He would have lost a lot of Blink Stalkers here, so rather take a little bit of damage upon his Immortal. But the Disruptors, they are here for Poseidon, so maybe an opportunity for him to reverse that situation. Blinks on top of it. I think pretty cute.
Yeah, he could have maybe just run away or break away, but he clearly wants to... Oh, very interesting.
Blink other Stalkers here.
That was
once again.
Now that was very smooth. Harsum does take the third base, and I suppose he could retreat right now. He knows the Colossus is hallucinated. He is not going to. He's just continuing to rally here. Maybe now he pulls back? I mean, he still has units rallying. If he has a Warp Prism, I think he really is winning already. Do we have a Warp Prism on production? Yeah, no, just more Disruptors.
More Disruptors and
Hearthstone
+3
Warp
attack. Hearthstone does have this advantage in terms of upgrades ever since the beginning of this game, which is helping quite a bit here in the Stalker v Stalker fights. Even the Immortals are actually going to benefit from that quite a bit. Now this is, you know, reminding me of early days of Legacy of the Void, right? Like there's Disruptors on both sides. That was so greedy. He lost a lot of Blink Stalkers and actually went for another Blink forward after that. Wasn't punished though, but it was quite close.
Yeah. Poseidon now with his own Disruptors can make this game really turn around. I mean, you have to have a really substantial lead in the Disruptor Wars to feel super confident. They were the comeback mechanic. Oh, he's going to miss that one.
Random Disruptor walks up the ramp. Nobody's
No
just
problem.
pressuring him. Quite crazy here, but the Blink Stalkers with the +2 attack are actually one-shotting Pylon here. The probes that are trying to move around are being intercepted. And now there is not that much room for Poseidon to maneuver around, and we'll get 2 Disruptors with 1 Nova here.
That's not so good.
Oh, nice.
Looks away from that. Poseidon is on a third base again, having trouble spending his money, however, and is really just putting everything in on these Disruptors, which he no longer has as part of his army. They were lagging a little bit farther behind. Hearthstone now with the high ground as well. And just adding on more Disruptors.
That's the thing. He also has way less. Once again, nice defense from Hearthstone. Would have lost a couple of Disruptor here, but rather Suicide. 1 Blink Stalker. Now he gets every single Disruptor on Poseidon, and it looks like a GG right there, as there is way too much technology, the upgrade advantage, everything, and now going down a ramp against 4 Disruptor. It's just impossible to do.
It is. Poseidon's been behind this game since the very beginning when he tried to do a 1-base Twilight Council. And he did manage to take it to 12 minutes. It's always been a struggle. Finally here, right now, unless these are amazing, they aren't.
Hearthstone is super impressive with those blinks on top of the Nova.
Yeah.
Not a single one connected well on the side of Poseidon. He just outplayed him quite bad, but you mentioned it. I mean, this game was game 4. For now, Netherlands is leading 2-1 thanks to a Hearthstone that's playing super well tonight. Let's see if he can keep on going against Sight on Neon Violet Square. Once again, the Dutch Protoss seems like he's on a roll. Should take that game, but as you said, Snoots needs a little bit of help here, right there, in the quarterfinals.
He would love some help, but it's going to be tough. And it's going to be a PVT. In the top left, now on Neon Violet Square, as the Red Terran for Norway, he is Scythe.
And in bottom right, we're looking at the main base of the captain himself. For Holland, for Netherlands, he is Hearthstone.
Yeah, I almost feel like Hearthstone is going to cheese. No, I wasn't going to say that.
I almost feel like
very
he's
nice
gonna go
scouting.
super crazy in this game.
Yeah, I think he's
It's
just
just scouting, though.
Yeah, he's scouting, but I was going to legitimately say that I feel like Hearthstone might even be glad that this is not the map he has to face Snoot on again, because if there's one thing I feel like you don't want to do is have like a 50-minute game against Snoot. He has a lot more experience, almost guaranteed, than anyone else in the world with how many Stormhost games he was playing back in the day, although I'm sure Hearthstone played his fair amount. Point is, while this could have been a cool PvZ map, we've been seeing so many late games that maybe this is even like a relief. But the next map's Acid Plant, and that's still a big one, so we'll see what happens. And we do assume that Hearthstone's going to take it. But Scythe, I suppose, we cannot take away the power of the very clean-cut stim timings, Protosses all over the world, all over any league has difficulty against that. If Scythe can pull it off in a, like Innovation would, and that could be scary.
When you started with the power of, the only thing I can believe you would say after that is the power of Protoss. So I was a little bit surprised.
Sorry.
Didn't quite follow you there. I don't know what you're talking about. It's crisp timing with stim? Is that really good? They've got shield batteries, man.
Yeah, they do.
No, just kidding. But yeah, of course, that's what Side could try to do in this game, just hit a proper two base timing, or even like with a late third base or something. But try to get a little bit of momentum going in this game, and a little bit of rhythm. Like if he waits on Harstem to do stuff, I don't think he'll feel comfortable. You want to take the initiative away from the player that's supposed to be the favorite here, and that's why exactly we mentioned earlier. I mean, that Reaper crosses the map, and now you've got a probe that comes in for a follow-up scout. Will make you lose a couple of seconds on your CC and gets everything he has to see.
If he can confirm the starboard's going down too, perfect.
He does.
You know, it's highly likely the starboard comes down too, but there's always that chance they did want to swap off to the reactor. I don't think you would do that necessarily on this map, but you could also have gone to like a Hellion drop or something. It is going to be the Widow Mine opener. We'll see if he does go for a Medivac or for a Viking. He might predict a Stargate opener, but it is not. It is a Twilight Council opener from Harstem.
It's been about 1,000,000 years since we've seen a Twilight Council opening in PvT. I like it. It's interesting that he opens up with Blink. Is it like an aggressive tactic, or can we see the defensive stance like, ooh, is he going to lose the Reaper? Probably not. Let's see about the Shade, though.
I feel
he
like
has the timing with the grenade, maybe. Are we
Oh,
close? The
he's gonna
regeneration
survive.
was enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Kicks
but
in.
what I was about to say is like, because Zest was quite well known for his defensive blink. You know, you get the 3 bases, you get a lot of blink stalkers, and you wait out for Terran aggression, right?
Yeah.
So is this that kind of style that we expect from Harstem? Get
Does
a
seem to
third
be that way.
base.
I mean, he's not necessarily putting all his chrono into in the Twilight Council, so I feel like it is just a solid macro opener. Zest, really, he could change things up. He could even chrono out his stalkers and go across the map on a shorter map. Zest was perfecting the Twilight Council opener at a time where Protoss really was the strongest. You know, when 4.0 came out with the chrono and the stalkers that they had,
shotting everything as well.
it was pretty good, but while it seemed to be the perfect way to play, even back then, not every Protoss agreed, and we have a lot more Stargate openers than we do, than I expected, actually, with how well Zest was making it look. But enough about Zest. Harstem does open up this way, and I think that's one of the key things about this is just predictions. Like, it seems really silly in the hands of a not Zest or a not Harstem, because you don't have your Revelation tagging the army or your observers out quite yet, so you can take a lot of damage in the early game. But as we see, Harstem knows what's up.
Yeah, and the blink completes as the Medivac will actually enter the main. The boost has been used. Harstem, does he blink on top of it? He will wait out a little bit, gets the Widow Mine, and now the Medivac confirms that the back pocket expand has not being used and not being taken yet. And we'll try to be safe in the bottom right. I don't think you're safe there.
No,
Have
perfect.
to go back there.
Perfect split here from Harstem.
It is perfect.
Very nicely done.
What a great way to start this game. And now Harstem, do you feel like you've done enough and you go aggressive, or you drop 2 forges and you go into charge?
I think you dropped 2 forges. But I
That's
feel
what
like...
I would do.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Good call, Funka. You should be an excellent Protoss.
I love playing Protoss. If I can get to that style right there, this is where I love my Protoss.
Yeah.
PvT is such a fun matchup to play on the Protoss side.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
So I was going to say, it's not just because this is I feel like the much better response just in general. It's also that most Terrans follow up an attack like that with at least 1 tank and a bunker, because they're well aware, especially if it is a blink opener, that they could be countered. So it would have been too dangerous to truly push a lot into this. So, you know, bit of greed with the chrono on the double forge, you know, just have to worry about a follow-up push in your third quite yet. The Terran is waiting for so many things after doing this, after getting the defensive tank as well. They're waiting for every single upgrade about as late as possible, it feels like, and not even off a, you know, really strong economy. It's not like he has a third already down, which I think would have been better for Scythe, really. But
Unstalker didn't get the memo.
no, it did not.
You were supposed to go down there. Okay.
Yeah.
Finally. But Scythe, not a single, you know, not adding a third CC. And it's been scouted quite easily by Harstem. So
good.
now you will have massive amount of gateways, +1 attack, +1 defense, charge, and blink. And I do feel like that's one of the best thing that you could have against like a 2-base Terran on 5 barracks, because you're gonna have 1,000,000 units.
This is such, you know, again, just a sign of not perfect scouting from the get-go, but just perfect knowledge of the matchup, and then some really good scouting. Seeing that it is a 5 racks follow-up instead of the faster third CC does significantly change what he worries about, of course. But with everything going his way, with the upgrades going to be done, charge going to be done, I don't think he really worries about this too much. It's also on such a big map as well, where Scythe, you know, he's got to filter through these squares, he's got to deal with Blink Stalkers, which Harstem's using very well, and he just has to get across a huge map, and it's... I don't know if this is really the way to go.
Like, it could already be the end of that attack before it even started, in a way. Like, that's quite crazy to think that Scythe was just able to reach his third of potential fourth base and has already lost 1 million units as Harstem is finishing up his upgrades. He did cut probe production for quite a bit. He was on 57 probes for the longest time. Now he's like, okay, maybe he's not attacking, so maybe I could go back to that probe production. But now that the attack is coming in, I think Harstem is actually going to enjoy just take the fight in the middle of the map. With Zealot Charge coming from the left side, this could be brutal. I don't think there is enough for Scythe. What a perfect game from Harstem for now. I mean, these Immortals are actually going to anchor the defense. The Archon in the middle, dealing some massive AoE damage. This is such a great game from Harstem.
It is. And Scythe is about to be blinked upon. Where's the boost? Okay, that was so closely timed. Even still takes a bit of damage. But this is already terrible news. You know, I wondered about the push to begin with. It was mostly bio-based. There weren't even Liberators following this up. So what position was he really going to take that was too strong around the third? Well, it doesn't matter because Harstem met him far ahead of his third and is now even pushing, again, without a Warp Prism, just feeling so confident.
Yep, that's how confident Harstem is. Actually, those Zealots, they died quite fast. Maybe Harstem overestimated his army for a bit, but now trying to target down the Immortals, which means that those Stalkers can keep on dealing some damage. Harstem will get cleaned out here in the middle of the map, but it's still 67 probes, and that map, it just, you know, it kept on being huge, you know, so it's not like he's going to be able to cross it and punish that fourth base right away.
That was an overextension. He also didn't do much blink micro, which I was surprised by. I thought he was just, you know, in the groove, you know, ready to micro every individual unit. But he has, as you said, like he still has a lot of time. He still has the map on his side to conclude not just, well, round out his army supply, but he also can actually finish these upgrades, which 2-2 against what is going to be, well, 1-1, sure, okay. It's still very scary for Scythe to go up against, but now is his time. He finally took an okay engagement. He still doesn't have any of those powerful anchor units, though, like Liberators. Obviously, he never had very many tanks. His Widowmines aren't even here, so, I mean, it's just bio, and I'm thinking that Harstem's not too concerned.
No, I don't think he is, considering that the fight didn't happen after that. He will actually confirm if there is a third base to know if he should be worried about total all-in from his opponent, but there is still no third CC. We know it, and Harstem will know it in a couple of seconds. He will have 2-2 for his units, for his base ground units here, with a lot of Archons, way more than he used to have. Perfect observer positioning. Harstem sees everything. He knows the positioning of the Terran army. Finally gonna get a scan and take out that observer, but I still think it's going to be a little bit too much. I mean, army supply, quite similar, a little bit in favor of Terran, but those two different, those two upgrades in favor of Harstem, just a little bit too much. He will scout that Medivac drop.
Just barely. That's still enough.
And now he knows.
Yeah, he sees everything. So recall on the main. If he needs to, actually. He's warping in so many units that he doesn't have to do that, and now he's going to potentially catch the Medivacs anyways. Oh,
what are you going to do, Scythe, now?
He loses one Medivac.
There's nowhere to go.
He's going to try it anyways.
There's maybe a couple of places to hide. It's going to be next to those Liberator circles, but he's actually butchering that defense quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of army supply in favor of Harstem, and he will finally just go and recall that army. Mines connecting quite well with the Archons, but that double Liberator Arras on the opposite side did kill a couple of probes, which is nice, but still not enough. I mean, Scythe with 46 SCVs to 65 probes, and, well, 2-2 against 1-1, right?
Yes, that's quite big. We even have +3 armor on the way, which may finish in this game, as Scythe still needs to do a lot of positioning. He's trying to get to a third base, but that seems awfully desperate. As Harstem, I mean, yeah, he did botch the defense in the main a little bit, had so much economy, had so much production behind it, already has the bigger army supply. Looking for the fight again. Every time he does this, it always feels like Scythe might just get that beautiful engagement, but Just too much Protoss.
I mean, nice kiting on the side of Tide, but to be honest, he was on 2 bases for like 10 minutes. He's still on 2 bases at the moment, and this army and this macro style of Hearthstem is gonna seal the deal. DTs in melee range, killing everything. Blink forward here on the side of Hearthstem, and it's now 3-1 in favor of the Netherlands. GG, Hearthstem takes it. Well, a little bit
well
more
for the Dutchies.
Okay, enough talking, and now it's finally time. Hearthstem against Snoot and Acid Plants.
Enough talking?
Yeah,
you
we
want
ju-
us to not speak during the game?
We
just enjoy?
started.
We just you want us just to cheer sometime? No, we have to cast those games. We have to explain what's going on here as the Netherlands might reach their first top 4 in Nation Wars. This PvZ will be played on Acid Plant, Kevin. Do you like this map for the other Kevin?
I don't hate it, but it's also not my favorite Protoss vs Zerg map out there. I do think taking a 4th base especially can get a little bit complicated. I do think, however, this man likes it quite a bit. It is a map to be defensive on, and we know that's where he shines the most. Can he keep the dreams alive for Norway? It is Snoot.
And his opponent playing amazingly well in those Nation Wars. Could qualify his team. If he were to win here, he is Hearthstem. And after 12 shows, I was able to do an intro that finished right on top of the music. So happy.
Right in time until
Right
we
in
switch
time.
it all up. Of course, we've got some new viewers joining in as well, guys. Nation Wars doesn't end today, but this is going to be the last show for quite some time. After today, we are done. You won't see us anymore until the 22nd of April, which is when the offline finals will take place. Funka, can you tell the viewers something about, people that want to come to Paris, want to watch this show?
Well, I can say a lot. Obviously, you'll have a blast. That's guaranteed. You'll get some amazing games. We'll already have 3 teams qualified. A 4th one will be decided now. The venue looks amazing. It's in the northeast of Paris, in the 20th arrondissement. It's a really cool venue that I had the name earlier, but I can't seem to remember. It's going to be at Le Parc de la Villette. It looks really good. It's a really old building, Art Deco, if you guys know about it. It looks really beautiful, really nice place to go to see some shows, some concerts. About the prices of the tickets that I should know, I think it's 29 euros, and you get the 2-day pass for the entire festival.
Okay.
And you get the entry for Nation Wars on Sunday.
Yep, Starcraft is going to be a 1-day event though, guys. We're going to probably start quite early because it's obviously going to be a reasonable long day. We're going to have some extra performances as well. Should be a lot of fun. I think in general, these live events in Paris have historically been a lot of hype.
Oh, yeah.
And I obviously would love to see the Dutch team here. If they would fall short right now, I'd definitely be a little sad. On the other end, it would be great to see Snoot and the boys as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how this game plays out. So far, everything is standard. We saw Hearthstem switch it up a little bit earlier today on Blackpink, but I think that was a build specifically for Blackpink. I think on this game, we're going to go back to a more usual style of Hearthstem, where he will open up with a couple Oracles, maybe squeeze in a Phoenix to take care of those Overlords, and then try to find some damage with the War Prism and the Zealots, like we've seen all the Protosses do lately.
Okay, do you see an emphasis potentially on the side of Hearthstem, maybe on a 2-base timing before dropping that 3rd Nexus? Or do you see something more classic from him?
I think we're going to see a very macro-oriented style coming out of Hearthstem here. Obviously, he will harass a little bit. I mean, nothing is set in stone. There is a chance he does the exact same thing as he did on Blackpink, but I don't think so. This map is less good for Resonating Glaives. It takes longer for Adepts to make their way to the other side of the map. It's not as easy to bounce from base to base, and perhaps that's why we already see that first Oracle on the way. Now, there is some crazy things you can do indeed with Prisms. We saw Showtime put it all on the line yesterday with that crazy Zealot attack that looked so good, so promising on paper, but we saw Saro have a miraculous hold. As for now, I don't think we're gonna see that kind of stuff.
To be honest, I think like most of the Zergs on the planet will want to see that replay, to see how he defended that attack. It looked so bad for him. There was so many Zealots, and he was just in the middle of his transition onto Hydralisk. But as we talk about that situation and that strategy that was used earlier by Showtime in Germany versus Finland, it's just not going to happen in this game. No Twilight for now for Hearthstem, but especially on the side of Snoot, safety Roachborn.
Yep, safety Roachborn, and of course 2 Oracles as well, which is different. If you want to make a Zealot attack like that, you simply don't have the time and the gas to make 2 Oracles. Good early pull there by Snoot. This is a very clean game so far. It is important you don't end up losing. I'm a little bit surprised to see Hearthstem not even try to get something done with Adepts like we see so often in this matchup. But so far, Snoot going completely unscathed here in the first 5 minutes. Not losing anything, that's the way you want to start a game as a Zerg.
Yeah, the lair will finish in a couple of seconds. Timing on the spores is quite pristine on the side of Snoot, but that's what we expect of him. I mean, defensively, this guy has always been a beast. Also, a beast in ZVP. I think most of his most impressive results just came out of this this PvZ matchup, this ZVP matchup, especially against the Korean Protoss back in the days in those IEM events. For now, Harstem gets a queen almost for free, gets a couple of drones on top of that. That was a good, nice bit of harassment coming from those two oracles. They are still alive, both of them.
Yeah, Snoot already making quite a few roaches. We'll keep a close eye on that production tab. That's actually a lot of roaches.
Yep.
Almost like he is anticipating a big Zealot warp in to hit him anytime soon. But the only thing that's actually coming is a couple of adepts. And somehow the roaches are not here. So these adepts can potentially get 3... no, I want to say 3. 3? Come
Okay.
on, Harstem.
Retarget? Nah.
No, he's not paying attention.
Yeah, he
so
was not on it anymore. He was microing his oracle a little bit further ahead. Now that's queen, a little bit off position. Do you want to take it out? No, there is a second one. You get a revelation, and you also get a revelation on the right side.
That is so many roaches by Snoot. So
Yep.
what I kind of thought he was going to do, he's going to show a few more. And now he's like, no, I didn't want to show that actually. And the other roach is like, oh,
come here,
on.
you. Come here, you. Don't you realize
Yeah.
you've got a massive star on top of your head? Like, what the hell are you going?
That's
How you doing?
actually so many units coming out of Snoot. I really thought he was going to do this on Blackpink. And I think as an answer against the Resonating Glaives, I honestly loved it, but he didn't do it. On this map, I'm not too sure. I think it's harder to pull it off. Also, the Immortal count is higher, and so Harstem didn't really sacrifice any units. So Snoot is ultra committed to this mass roach attack that is about to hit Harstem on Harstem's side of the map. And for Harstem, he has one job, that is keep those Immortals alive. He starts the prison now, which gives me the idea he's not totally sure about this happening yet. If Harstem would know what we knew, he wouldn't make that prism. He would just make another Immortal.
Definitely, now he knows.
Yeah, because the only thing that matters for Harstem here is surviving.
Yeah, he's got 66 probes against the 49 drones.
He cancelled the prism. He went
He
for the
did
Immortal.
cancel the prism and went right back into chrono boosting another Immortal, but that's not that many sentries, so Force Field will not really matter in this fight. And now you've got a lot of surface area for the Zerg player to try and take that Protoss down, or at least the third. The Oracle start to work on a couple of roaches on the left side.
I honestly felt that Snoot should have just brought all his units here because the sentry count wasn't simply very high. Snoot is dancing around a lot. He's wasting a lot of time. These oracles are somehow pushing this entire roach force back. And now Harstem squeezed out a Void Ray. Immortal number 3 is out. Immortal number 4 is on the way. Snoot still has to make something happen, guys. He's got 122 army supply.
He is going to max out on roaches and zerglings. This is such an interesting strategy from Snoot. It's just so uncommon these days, and he will try to make it work, but I feel like he should be going right now.
Yeah.
He's losing a lot of time. Even Harstem feels comfortable to go back into Templar, well, at least Storm research that he cancelled a little bit earlier. Now we've got 4 Immortals, a massive amount of Zealots, plus 2. Harstem thinks that this aggression is over, but he doesn't really know. He drops a 4th base. He doesn't really connect with the fact that Snoot will max out and Snoot will go for the attack.
Yeah, but now it's so much harder though. 4 Immortals, now the sentry count is 3. Before it was 1 and at best 2 that didn't have much energy. There is a Void Ray in the mix as well. Snoot really needs to start crushing Harstem here if he wants to keep the dreams alive of Norway. But it's not looking good, man. Snoot is just running circles and he's not getting damage done.
And now he transitions 12 drones, but this is such a terrible spot for him. He lost 6 drones just before. He doesn't have any tech whatsoever. And when on the side of Harstem, it's actually Storm that just finished. The Force Field was perfect here. So those roaches, they are dead supply right now against Immortals, Zealot Charge, Archon, and soon to be Storm.
Yeah,
what do you do with this army?
I have no idea. He needs to pull off a miracle. But like going up this ramp now is 100 times harder than it was before. Even if his army is a little bit bigger, it's just not doable. 5 Immortals are standing there. They're one-shotting almost everything. The Archons are getting healed by the shield batteries as well. And the Netherlands are in a fantastic position.
I can't believe Snoot is going through the meat grinder here and Harstem is destroying everything. GG! He does it! Netherlands are qualified to the round of 4. Snoot completely lost track of time, track of the strategy that he's going for. Just hesitated a little bit too long, and in the end, Harstem defended it perfectly.
Is Harstem 14-1 in this tournament? Do I have that correct?
Now.